What is up, y'all? It is your host, Rennie, and you're listening to another episode of the Call Me Crazy podcast. Yeah, I'm glad we didn't start talking about photography too much into, because sometimes like we miss the good stuff. It's like, oh my god, we're talking about it all right now. We should be recording.
We gotta start over, yeah.
But when did you start with photography?
I started with photography in high school. Mm-hmm. There were a couple classes at my school for video editing, not so much like filming, so I don't really know anything about filming, but they taught us how to use Premiere. So that's how I know that I like desktops and not laptops like I was saying before, but yeah, I took 2 classes in school, and it was just about like composition and then like editing. They didn't really teach you a lot of skills with like cameras at all. It was just like the art of it, which I liked.
Different perspective.
Yeah. But that's how I was first introduced to it, and then I ended up going to like a summer camp in Maine for photography.
Oh my god.
Incredible. It was really cool. It was like
Maine is gorgeous, first of all.
Yeah, I love Maine.
And a photography camp?
It was like
I've never heard of such thing.
Kind of program. Like everybody in my school, my high school was very like college driven, and they like pushed the kids all to go to college. And when I said that I didn't want to go, they were like, "You have to apply. You have to." And my guidance counselor like really made me feel like garbage. But anyway, so I went to a pre-college program because that's what like everybody does. So it was like a 2-week sleepaway camp. At this. And
at this point, did you think you were going to college, or you just did it because of the peer pressure?
I had no idea. I mean, I assumed that I would go just because that's what everybody did.
Right.
But I knew that I didn't want to.
Yeah.
And then I ended up not going, and that's part of a different story. Yeah. But
what was your parents' take on it?
They were fine with it. I mean, wait, photography or like college?
College.
My dad didn't go to college, and he has his own business. He does hardwood floors. And it's been good for him. Yeah. So he didn't really care.
Mind.
And then my mom only has an associate's, and she's a preschool teacher.
It's so insane how like schools will like push on you things that they don't even know the parents are in support of or care about.
Yeah, like I had no pressure from my parents at all. I feel like it's usually the other way around.
Yeah.
Parents are like pressuring you for good grades. Or like if you don't get an A, they're gonna take away something. My parents like let me do my own thing, and they were like, as long as you're happy, we don't care. And then my guidance counselor and like everybody at school was like, you have to take APs and you have to do this. And I was like, as long as I'm graduating, I like could care less.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what is that time like? How long ago is that for you? Was your first film class?
I don't. All of those years blend together, which is crazy because it wasn't that long ago. But I want to say like my sophomore year of high school probably, and then
was that like
and then I think I did that sleepaway camp like in that summer going into my junior year.
So that's like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so. You went from film to photography. Were you first interested in film?
I was interested in both. I don't know. My mom always took photos growing up, like of family vacations and just like around the house. So I feel like that's what made me want to do it because I was like a shy kid that never did my own thing. I was like always doing what other people around me were doing. I'm the youngest child, so like I just do whatever my sister was doing, and I feel like it was probably the same thing, but I don't really know where it came from. I just took the class just to take the class.
That's awesome.
And then was like, I actually really like this. They were talking about composition and why this photo was good or like better in comparison to like this composition. And that's what I liked the most about it. And then went to that summer camp and saw other people my same age taking the class because they wanted to, not to just take the class for the credits. And yeah, that camp was really nice. So
it was 2 weeks, you said?
I think so. I don't remember. I think it was 2 weeks. And I, like, didn't talk to anybody the whole time.
Really?
Yeah. I, like...
Did you have, like, sort of like, was it like assignment based? Did they make you work in groups? Like, how'd you get away with not talking to anyone?
I don't know. we would do like field trips. So they have a tiny campus. They just do like master's and certificate programs. Okay. But then they also do camps for kids
during the summer. Yeah.
So it's not like a college, but it's main media workshops plus college. It's like not a real college, but like you can.
It's a base for those kinds of Gotcha.
Yeah. So it was a group of, I think there were about 10 of us, and we had a teacher and like a teaching assistant, and then 2 like counselors that like drive us around in vans, and we'd walk into class like in a lab. Everybody had like a desktop and a seat, and there was a camera rental like in the building where you could rent and like try out different stuff, and it was like all included in like the whatever amount you're paying for like this 2 weeks sleepaway camp. And we would just walk into class and they'd be like, where do you guys want to go today? We think we want to go to a farm. What do you guys want to do? We were like, okay, yeah, let's go to this cow farm. And we just would drive to the farm and take pictures for like 3 hours, something like that. Just everybody would walk around and do their own thing. Take pictures of nature, take pictures of each other. Some of them were interested in portraits, but at the time, I started doing portraits and like weddings and everything that we're doing now only last year. Wow. I had never taken pictures of like people really, just like nature and landscapes. So that's how I avoided not talking to people. I'd get off the van and I'd just bounce and everybody would be like taking pictures of each other and I'd be like just doing my own thing. Like over there in the house. I love it. And then we'd get back in the van, sift through our photos and like edit them. They'd like turn off all the lights and like close all the curtains, and we'd just sit and all be editing together for like hours.
This is so like foreign to me. Like I've heard of sleepaway camp, but I've never heard of this. It almost makes me want to make an adult version.
It was really fun. You could, yeah. And then the next day we'd walk in to class again, and we would each pick like 5 or 3 or something, I don't remember, of our favorite photos from yesterday. We'd airdrop them to the teacher's computer, and he would show them on the like smart board screen thing. And then he would talk about, we'd have like a big discussion. He'd talk about like what he liked in that photo, what he would have done differently with the editing or the composition, and then he'd be like, does anybody have anything else to add? And so then some of the kids would be like, oh, I really like how you did this, and it was like very collaborative. And
it sounds like there was so much room for growth. Like it doesn't sound like, I don't know, I feel like sometimes in camps can be like cliquey at times, or like not helpful in the sense of like, I don't know, kids just being kids, but it sounds like it was a great time.
It actually really was. And I wanted to leave really bad when my mom like dropped me off. I was like, because I was not a social kid. Like I had like a handful of like good friends that like you know from kindergarten. Right. And that's it. I hadn't made any new friends like ever. And so it was really hard for me to like try to start new with people. And I really wanted to leave, and then at the end of it I like really wanted to stay. And I was like starting to open up and talk to people like at the end.
Oh, that's always what happens. Yeah. That's always what happens. I'm like, shoot.
Yeah, I missed it. Yeah, I was like kicking myself that I didn't talk to anybody really, because they were all really nice. And like I knew that because I like watched them
interact with each other.
I talked to them. Yeah.
No, I totally get that. Yeah. I was like, I think I'm still like this. Not shy until you get to know me, but I'm definitely a very different version of myself once you get to know me. And I feel like that person can be loud and exciting and like very entertaining, but like until then, I am definitely when I was a kid, I was more reserved for sure. I always like looked different, felt different, so I didn't like putting myself out there like a ton. But that sounds so awesome. I would definitely send my kid to a photography summer camp. So you mentioned you always felt like you were doing things that others were doing. Was one of those things photography for your sister? Like, did she ever dabble in it, or no? Never. It was kind of your thing?
Yeah, it was like my thing, which I really like now. Yeah. Which I really liked then too. But because nobody else was doing it, and growing up I didn't know any photographers, like there wasn't somebody that I looked up to that I was like, oh, I want to be like them when I grow up.
Right, like someone's aunt or my mom's friend or like something like,
Yeah, so I don't know, just my mom had like one of those little cameras where like you turn it on and the lens like scoots out.
Yeah.
She had one of those, and when I got into like middle school, high school, I would like take it outside in the backyard and just like take pictures with it.
Yeah.
But I would never do anything with them.
Right.
I just had them. And then when I got to school, I was like,
stop. That's the cutest thing. Wasn't a burp and it wasn't a fart.
No, when she lays down, she's like,
Same. Honestly, same. That was Megan's cute dog, Cammy. Cammy just want to make a cameo. Anyway.
Cammy's cameo.
Cammy's cameo. Would you say like a year ago is kind of when it became like a job and or a career?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And what would you consider, like, do you find the two, like, different, job and career? Do you find that they are, like, photography is both for you right now, or?
It's both.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm lucky to still be at home. Like, I'm lucky that I didn't move out when I had a real job, because I was trying to, and I wasn't, like, close to, but, like, I really wanted to. And then I started to do photography, like, full-time. Well, almost, but, like, full-time, really. And I was fortunate to still be here and not have moved yet. Because if I had moved, I wouldn't have been able to take it on as much as I am right now.
Right.
It was, like, the perfect time.
I always say, especially when me or my friends or my family, like, are going through a period of time where, like, things are uncomfortable, either financially or, like, physically, whatever space they're living in or anything like that, like, the situation isn't great. Like, I always, like, remind them of the fact that, like, growth happens in, like, uncomfortable places.
Yeah.
And that, like, quite literally the human body when growing, like, is in pain. It hurts. You have growing pains, right?
Oh my God.
So
that's so true.
It's so true. Yeah, I used to be a personal trainer, so I relate a lot back to the body, and it's like when we grow, we physically hurt. Like it hurts us physically and mentally, and so I think, you know, just to remind ourselves of that, it's getting into my full-time entrepreneurship journey, it was so uncomfortable. Like, I was so broke. I was like, all right, I'm going to get rid of nannying and serving at the restaurant, and I'm just going to try to get clients. But it's not like the clients are, like, already knocking at your door.
Right.
They
know who you are. Yeah.
Exactly. I had one client. And I was like, all right, I'm going to take this one client and I'm going to try to make it into something that I can, like, live off of. But for many months, it wasn't something I could.
Right.
But at the same time, if I stayed nanny and I stayed serving, I would have never, like, there's no way to jump.
Right.
There's no way to jump with security with entrepreneurship.
Right.
You just have to jump.
I don't know how some people do it. There's one photographer that I follow that I look up to. She's like really great on her social media and her photos are really good, and she just seems like a really genuine person in her stories. But she had like a I don't know if it was corporate, but she had like some kind of office,
right,
like
9
big
to 5,
job.
yeah,
but she was also doing photography and has like thousands of followers, and she looks like she does it full time.
Yeah.
I'm like, how can you keep up with that and still be happy and like not have it take away from your real job? And she just quit to go full time in photography. But like for all this time, like I would have never known until she made that post saying like, oh, I just quit my job.
Yeah.
Like how? How? Like since like last summer when I really started to pick things up, I was working full time and then went part time to give me more time for this, and then eventually was like, I can't do this either. It just takes up too much space in my mind.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, I even have friends who, like, now hire people to edit their photos because they literally can't. Like, they can't. From the outside looking in, it's easy to be like, oh my god, she's doing so many things, and she's, like, killing it, and she also has her corporate job, but I'm sure like it's really hard for her, and like I'm sure she probably cries at night and shit, and like now she's probably feeling a huge weight lifted, but I'm sure it like looks so glamorous and glossy from this side, but I'm sure it's like
social media.
Yeah, I'm sure like there's been times where like there's been probably a whole week where she was late to her 9 to 5, getting in at 10. You know what I mean? Like there's definitely been those days for her too. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's definitely killing it. She probably is. Who is she, by the way?
Jillian, I feel like it's Gil though. I think it's Gil. Gillian Lee Photos.
Okay,
she's in New York.
Her out.
Yeah,
she's really
good. I like her a lot, but like, I would have never known. But, yeah. The growing pain thing is so broke my mind with that. That's so true.
Yeah, literally.
It reminds me of this group. I guess, well, they're a YouTube channel. I feel like they do more than that, but I know them from their YouTube channel. They're called Yes Theory.
Okay.
I've heard of them. But they're just very much into, like, carpe diem. Like, seize the moment, do what you want to do, helping other people, like, forgetting what's pushing you down and just, like, go living and exploring and, like, doing what you want. And they have this tagline called Seek Discomfort that I put in my bio, and like I bought some of their merch, but like for a while, like I was watching them like all through high school and in my like full-time job, and being like so inspired and like motivated by them, but like I wasn't living by that. Like I wasn't doing anything like that, and I was like wearing a shirt that would be like Seek Discomfort, and my boyfriend would like make fun of me for it and be like, "You don't even try new foods." Like what? What are you saying?
You don't even get uncomfortable in the slightest.
Yeah,
like,
he was like, seek discomfort, like, try new things. Yeah, right. Like, you're not doing anything. And I was like, you know what, you're right. And started photography, and here we are, uncomfortable.
That's amazing.
But I feel like that's kind of like what you were saying. Like, the best things that are in your life, you like had to make uncomfortable decisions about.
Yeah.
Or just like take a leap of faith. And whatever. So, and that goes for everything good in my life. Like, I made the first move with my boyfriend, and like that was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And like starting photography was uncomfortable, and like moving out that I'm hoping to do soon, like that will be super uncomfortable too. But like those are all things that like you want to have.
Right.
And you can't just snap your fingers and have them. Like you have to work for it and like be
work through that discomfort. Yeah.
Do it,
Yeah, no, literally. I feel like even going back to like how you were saying, like you at first you didn't shoot faces because that's uncomfortable.
Yeah, I was so anxious about it.
Asking people, that's uncomfortable. Then doing the thing is uncomfortable. Actually having someone to direct and to pose and to you know look at and take photos of, it's a very different thing than just like being alone wherever you are and being able to just like, you know, snap away.
Exactly. Like it was just a hobby. Like it was like a self-care kind of hobby. Like just going for a walk and like taking pictures of flowers. Like that's all it was. And then I saw people on Instagram just because I was interested in photography and I was following photographers just for fun. Yeah. And then noticed that everybody was young and like women my age. Yeah. I was like, I could do that too. And then I was like, you know, I'm gonna seek that discomfort, and I did it.
I feel like that's a recent thing, at least for me. Like I remember in the like Connecticut space, and it's kind of like a smaller circle. Like I remember meeting people from like up your way, you know, meeting people from Stanford and just kind of like all over Connecticut. There'd be these meetups and all of these things, and for a while it felt like it was a very, I mean, still feels like it's a very male dominated, you know, industry. Yeah. And definitely when I was like 14, 15, 16, like going and shooting with all these random men. I don't think I had stumbled upon a collaborative shoot with a woman until I was probably like 17, 18 years old. Yeah, no, I was like going into the city, into Brooklyn. I was going Upper Connecticut, New Haven, all these places, like, and meeting up with male photographers who were like significantly older than me, and like I I've never had a bad experience. I've had one uncomfortable experience, and I don't know if that was because of me or the situation or what. But yeah, it was like male dominated for so long, and now it's like so refreshing to see all these like new creatives and all these women. I feel like in the fashion industry, and commercial like photography is definitely still a lot of men, but I feel like we're slowly infiltrating into that as well, which I love for us.
No, I think there is a huge shift happening though. I only know 3 guy photographers.
I love that for you.
I know. And they're all older too. Or at least older than me.
Yeah.
But everybody older than me. So but yeah, like all of the connections and friends that I've made in photography, like they are all women, and they're all women like 30 and under too.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Big shift.
Big shift.
But not to say that those guys aren't great. Like I love those 3 guys that I've met, and I shoot with them. Yeah. And like second shoot for them too, like all the time. But just 3 in comparison to like 10, 20, 30 other women photographers that I've like talked to, met up with, shot with. Like it's crazy.
That's amazing.
That's weird.
That's amazing. I love that that's your experience. Like I feel like it's a new age of photography, and I love that. What was your like original like corporate job? I feel like you mentioned you had one, right?
Yeah, well, sort of.
It counts.
I can go through all my jobs if you're interested. But I graduated high school in 2019. So just before the pandemic.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah,
like right before. And you know, high school was what it was, and I really loved art like all those years, but I never like painted or anything like that. But I did a lot of theater. I was the stage manager for my high school's theater. Followed my sister's footsteps.
Okay. Still impressed.
But I didn't just do it because she did it. I mean, that's how I got started with like everything in my life. But I stuck with it. Except for photography, but I stuck with it for those like 4 years that I was there because I actually ended up enjoying it. But I don't know, photography is like the same that theater was to me, like in my heart, and like it like feels the same, which is why I feel like I like photography so much, because it's just storytelling. Like you're telling people stories, you're making them feel pretty, or like giving somebody to see, if that makes sense. I don't know, but I'm also like on the back end of things. So as the stage manager, I was like coordinating, doing a lot of like emails and administration sort of work. Yep. And now I'm still doing that. I'm making art like behind the scenes. So
that's awesome.
Anyway, so in high school, I was doing that in my high school, and then also like community theaters. Like,
oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, nothing like major.
No, I mean, for a high school kid, that's a lot. You're managing your schools, and then you're, freelancing on the side.
I mean, everything was free.
But it was work.
Everything, but yeah, it was a lot of work, and I felt like that was my full-time job. Like, I was doing that more than like any academics in school. Yeah, which is one reason why I was like not motivated to go to college at all, because I wasn't a motivated high school student. Like, I did not care about my grades.
Right.
I was fine.
But you clearly were handling yourself, though.
Yeah, I had to like.
You were ready for the real world. Meg was ready for the real world.
Still. But yeah, when I graduated, I like didn't know what else to do with myself. I was like, I kind of feel like I should just keep going with that. So I worked for theater in Milford. Got paid then, but
nice.
And that's a great theater too. But like, for me, that was like a 45-minute drive, like every day for rehearsal, and it wasn't like worth the money. It was just worth the experience and like building a resume, because I wanted to do it professional. Like, I don't know about Broadway, but like maybe like
on a bigger
Speed
scale
or something. So I was doing that, and then the pandemic hit, and like they closed, and obviously couldn't do that anymore until like now things are opening up, but like for the foreseeable future it was like everything's closed. And I was also working on a llama farm. We can talk about that more if you want.
Oh my god, a llama farm?
Yeah, like all through high school I worked on a llama farm.
Where is said llama farm?
In Reading.
It's closed?
Yeah, it's like less than 10 minutes from my house.
Can we go?
It's like somebody's backyard.
Oh.
It's like not a real functioning farm. It's more like a hobby farm, sort of. But an older couple owned the llamas, and again, something that my sister got into when she graduated. She's 4 years older than me, so I like, with a lot of things, just kind of took her place when she graduated, and that was one of those things. But I helped a lot with like the llamas, obviously, but I spent more time like organizing events for them and like working on their social media, like making them a Facebook page, making them their Instagram, because they were older. But I loved that, and so I was still doing that like all the time, and then I'd go to rehearsal at night, and then when that closed, I just like stayed at the llama farm and just kept doing that, and so anyway, I was there like all through the pandemic, and then I was helping take care of one of the owners. They were an older couple, so one of them, the woman, the wife, is like in her 80s now, and the husband was 92 when he passed, and he passed that year. He took a fall. That's usually how it goes, you know, an old person falls down, and then it's just a decline from there. So like he fell and he was fine, but then after a while, like had to go on oxygen, and then had to have like back surgery, and then he had like this drop foot and he couldn't walk. It was like one little thing after another, but like when you're older, like your body just
it doesn't bounce back.
Yeah, it doesn't bounce. So I was taking care of him. There's like some other help, but like mainly that's what I was doing most of the time. And then when he passed, and I've always loved older people. I grew up with my grandparents like in the same kind of house, sort of. But I was like, maybe I should go into nursing or like do some kind of like end of life care. And so I went to a class to be a CNA, and I got my certificate to be a nursing assistant. And then got a job in a retirement home. It was like a glorified apartment building. Basically, they were independent, but like they had CNAs that would like give them their medication and like
take them to lunch,
help them shower. And so I got into a place there like during the pandemic, and I was waiting to take my CNA test, but I was like, I should just get in someplace doing something else, and then I can like move up to do that. So I was a receptionist and a waitress at a retirement home for a full year, like September to September. And I loved that, but then photography just kind of sprouted in the middle of that.
So we're in 2022, so it was like until September 21 that you were doing that? I'm like so horrible with time.
So am I.
It's awful.
Yes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Last fall.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Right? And then we're
here now.
Yes. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So like, I love that you're not that I love that you're so talented and, you know, are like under a year into this, but it's really crazy. You are so talented and you're under a year into this.
It feels really new because like it is. I mean, it's been like almost a year of doing this, like really pursuing it. But it was like a hobby for a long time before. So and like I learned about camera settings before, so it's not like I was starting like from scratch.
Right.
I just started my business from scratch. True. But like I already knew how to use Lightroom, and so everything was very familiar. I just like took a hobby further.
Turned it, Yeah. Amazing. So, what's your favorite part of being a photographer?
These questions are really good.
Thank you.
There's a lot that I like, that I love about it, but I guess the one thing, if I had to pick one, it allows me to live the life that I want to live. Like, it gives me that freedom to, like, wake up, read a few chapters of a book, slowly get ready, make coffee, then I get to start my work day. If I want to edit in a coffee shop, I can go do that. If I want to run errands that day, I can go do that too. If somebody's like, oh my god, do you want to go get lunch today? I can do that. Doesn't matter. I can do whatever I want. As long as I can stay on top of the deadlines that I set for myself and give people back their images in a reasonable amount of time, and that's all you need. I think. So I don't know. working in that 9 to 5, basically, it wasn't 9 to 5, but it was basically 9 to 5.
Yeah.
I was there every day, serving old people their food, giving them breakfast, giving them lunch, taking their orders. I loved that, don't get me wrong, but the schedule was just not something that's like compatible with me, and it was the same thing with school. And that was another reason I didn't want to go to college, just because I don't like living by other people's schedules. Like, I don't know if I'm like really spiritual or whatnot, but like I believe in like giving your body what you feel like it needs as well as your mind, and that was just like not sustainable for me as a job, and this is. So that's my number one reason why.
And I feel like I'm surrounded by so many entrepreneurs, so it's like hard to imagine the other side of that, but I think it's like also equally as admirable to like those kinds of jobs. And there's so many people who do, and like there's so many people who like can't even think of like having a bunch of different emails to answer and a bunch of different trying to schedule photo shoots with a whole bunch of different people's schedules and you know what have you. Like there's a lot of people out there, and I think like because we're in the world that we're in and we network with the people we do, like we forget about the people who genuinely like a routine and are like, actually, like my life and my anxiety or whatever like is better with doing the same thing, knowing exactly what's expected of me, knowing exactly how challenging my day is gonna be. Like, so I think it's cool to like remember that there's both sides of it too, because I feel like with, or at least because like we see what we follow and everything like that, the algorithm is, you know, pushing things towards us that, you know, we probably most likely agree with. But I still think too, like with all this entrepreneurship, like I still want to celebrate the people who like genuinely like, because I mean, who would be taking care of our grandparents in the nursing home if not, you know? Like,
we need all of those jobs, and we need people in trades. We need people in food service. We need people delivering packages and doing those mundane, everyday kind of jobs. And some people really
thrive with
that.
Yeah. Do you ever feel misunderstood in the field?
Getting right into it. I don't know. Like, people think that I'm somebody I'm not, or
I don't know, just like misunderstood in any way. Has there been a road bump of sorts in your entrepreneurship journey as a photographer where you're like, damn, I wish to all the people who think this way, or to that one client who thought this, I wish I could say, you know, feeling misunderstood misunderstood in any way.
I don't think so. Though, I mean, I think this response might relate to it, but
we had a good run. We probably going on an hour without him. So I will say, I don't know what he's doing, taking a lunch break or what.
Maybe.
But you know, I'm grateful for it. Whatever it was.
Well, if you heard that chainsaw or whatever, we're doing construction on my deck, right outside my window. So, anyway, when I started photography, started like portraits and everything. I didn't know what I wanted to do with it, really. I was interested in weddings and like taking pictures of couples and just like love, because storytelling, and I feel like that's like the most like, I don't want to say direct way, but like telling people stories, like their love stories, is what I was interested in doing. Taking a family portrait, like, it's still storytelling. Like, you're telling the story of that family's lives, and like you're watching their kids grow. Right. But like, wedding photography
is kind of all encompassing, because you get that one full day, so it really is like a storyline of sorts. Whereas like, for family portraits to be a story, you kind of have to stick with them for a while.
And
with that family.
Right. But like in one wedding gallery, you're telling this massive story of like first look with the dad. And like seeing the grandma cry when the bride walks down the aisle. Like, that's the kind of storytelling that like one image will tell a story. Setting up a staged portrait, it's like awesome. But like, there's no story in that really. Right. But like, a first look or a first touch or like vows, like you are doing something with that photo. And it's like very organic emotion too, because I feel like family portraits are very fake. Johnny!
smack them across the face, make them smile.
They were in clothes they would never wear themselves.
They would never wear, especially not in this, like, you know, matchy way.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are definitely capturing, like, a slew of emotions, and they're all organic, and you're just, like, there.
Yeah. So that was the vibe. That's what I wanted to do, and that's what I knew that I wanted to do. But besides that, I didn't know if I wanted to take it in any other directions. So I tried family portraits, and I did a lot of family portraits last fall, Christmas card season. I would have like hour-long sessions, 30-minute sessions with families, and then I also did 2 sets of mini sessions in the fall. One for Christmas themed, and the other one was like fall themed. And I was like popping off with family portraits. I don't know if it's because I was really cheap, like dirt cheap at that time, like less than $100.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if it was that, or if it was just the location that I was in. I was getting a lot of people that were from my town, or like neighboring towns. So it could have been that. Could have been that I was cheap in an affluent area.
Could have been both.
Could have been both. But I was taking it just because it was experience, and I was excited to have literally anybody want to have their photos taken by me.
And then like different subjects, different energies, all of that good
new
stuff.
Locations, because they would suggest different places I'd never heard of, didn't know were around here. And I've been able to use all of those different experiences and things in my career still, but family portraits like didn't light me up, like didn't set me on fire, and couples do. So not like misunderstood, but like I still sometimes get inquiries that are like, oh, I want to do this family shoot. Can you do like this for me? And I'm like, yes, but like, can I refer you to a friend instead who likes to do that more than me? I'd rather have them go to somebody that's passionate and like really excited to meet with them, rather than me who's like, okay,
I'll take it,
yeah.
All the tills. We're gonna roll with it. We're gonna rock and roll with it. So how can consumers and clients help us as small business owners? Do you think it's their job to help us?
I don't think it's their job to help us. I mean, as a photographer, I feel like that's a different kind of business to be in than somebody who like makes products. Because if you're making like candles or something, like you could buy that at Bath & Body Works or like CVS, literally. So I feel like that's a different way. Like if a client wants to support a small business, they'll do that. And like, you know, you're not going to get sales from like regular people. You're going to get sales from somebody that wants to support a small business.
Consciously shopping that way.
Right, exactly. But for photography business, there aren't a ton of like studios where you can go and get that done. You kind of have to support the little people, because JCPenney photos, like, is that still a thing?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so either. And who would go take their engagement photos at JCPenney?
True.
Unless it was a joke and you were in like 80s sweaters,
right?
You know,
that's a concept. That's a concept.
You asked about locations for later. You go there. But yeah, so I don't think it's clients' jobs to like support you. Like, I don't make it mandatory that people tag me in photos like this, but like I appreciate it. Like, word of mouth definitely helps. Especially starting out, like getting tagged in my photos or like sharing my business cards with family and friends. Like, referrals mean a lot. But I mean, it's kind of on me to find clients more than have people find me.
I definitely think that's a good point that no one has brought up thus far. Like, if you can tag me in my work, like, I don't see why you wouldn't. Like, if I'm paying for photos, like, yes, I own them. Like, yes, I paid for them. But, like, what is it doing for me that I didn't tag my photographer? Like, I feel like people are going to ask in my comments. Like, might as well tag, you know?
It's the easiest thing to do. Like, why would you not do it?
Some people don't. It's mandatory in collaborations, and I appreciate it if it's done for, you know, something that's paid. So I really have no qualms about it, but that is a good answer, and I like that, and I would say the same. Yeah, because it is the littlest of things. It doesn't even take a second to do. It takes nothing out of you. There's no labor involved.
And it's not totally branded over the photos either.
No.
Like, it's
like,
just somebody
yeah.
taps it and they're like, oh, cool. I just got engaged.
Yeah.
How about I reach out to her too?
Because also sometimes I feel like people get weird about asking for things too. Like some people are like totally fine with being like, oh, where's your bikini from? But I feel like there's some people who would want to know where the bikini is from and wouldn't ask for some reason. So that's why I always tag everything. I tag ad nauseum. I'm just like, if y'all don't get it by now, I don't know why. Because Fashion Nova is the top, you know, this is the bottom, like whatever. Yeah. I'll even tag Goodwill of Connecticut. Listen, you're not going to find it there, but if you want to know where I got it, that's where I got it.
Yeah. Pandemic was terrible. I mean, like, so many people got sick and, like, lost their lives and families got broken. But if it weren't for that, like, I wouldn't have been bored in a 9-to-5 and come back to photography.
No, 100%. I mean, like, going back to the uncomfortable thing, right? Yeah. Like, that was an uncomfortable, like, collective time for so many people. Like, and I don't want to be insensitive when saying that it was a great time for me. I mean, I lost my Nana to COVID, so it wasn't an outstanding time. But for me, it was the time I needed, the uncomfortable that I needed, the just disconnect from the world that I don't, like, that might happen once again in our lifetime, might never happen again in our lifetime. It was what I needed, and it's what catapulted me into what I'm in now. And I think, honestly, like, not having everything at our fingertips like we usually do, like, only being able to go to Target and Walmart, like, it shifts your brain. Like, the possibilities are no longer endless. What you can go out and do, you actually have a curfew now. You can't be driving on the street past this certain... I mean, things were fucking crazy. Like, things were crazy. So, like, I feel like for a lot of people, at least for me, like, I found out what's important. And, I mean, like, I feel like that's what even, like, kickstarted me to, like, get out of my toxic relationship, like, really, like, start my career, like, really be about me, because at the end of the day, all you have is you, like, especially during such an isolating time like that. Like, if you're not okay with what's in here, you're going crazy right now. Like, you have no outside stimuli to help you, to aid you, to cover things up or make you feel like, you know, not think about certain things. Like, it was all at the forefront, and I feel like for those who took advantage, like, we are feeling the effects now in a great way. And for those who didn't, I mean, like, I hope you had a great time. But I don't know, you know, like, I definitely feel like whilst in it, I might have not had the greatest of times, but looking back at it now, I'm like, wow, that was a life-changing era for me, for sure. Yeah,
I mean, it changed my life in a lot of ways. Like, who knows, like, maybe I would still be doing theater. Maybe I would have moved to be in, like, Hartford or something to, like, try to do it. But I didn't love it. I mean, I loved the idea of it, and I loved storytelling, but, like, as soon as I would get home, I wouldn't want to go to rehearsal. Like, I, like, would not want to go back. But being there, I loved it in the moment. But if it hadn't closed down, like, would I have gotten here? I don't know.
But if you could tell your younger self one thing, would there be anything that you would tell little Meggie? Well, what was your nickname growing up? Did you have a nickname? Was it always just Megan, or?
People called me Meg. My sister gave me a nickname that a lot of my friends know, but none of my photography friends know, because they know me by, like, Meghan. Whatever. But, like, all of
you're, like, home
in, like, my other life, they all call me, like, well, not everybody, but, like, it's a funny nickname. Call me Moog.
Moog. Oh, that's Moog. Cute. Moog. I like it.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like everybody hates high school, but, like, high school was rough.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of waiting to graduate. I was like, oh, once I graduate, like, all of my problems will be solved.
Right.
Everything will end. Like, I can finally be happy. Finally do what I want to do, because I was stuck in that schedule and in somehow a full-time job like in theater that took up more than my academics did, and it was like, how did I even end up here? It wasn't even like a choice that I made. It was just like it happened.
Right.
And also, just sidebar, my high school had no staff involved in the theater at all. Like, there were 2 outside adults, like, that were not part of the school. One was, like, the director, and the other one would do all the technical stuff. But besides that, there was nobody in charge of the theater, like, department and the space, like, their stage. There was nobody linked to the school in charge of it. So that whenever we would have an assembly or something, or teachers needed to use it for some kind of activity, they would email me and be like, Megan, we need 5 microphones, and we need you to turn on the lights at 3 o'clock today. Are you free? I was like, I mean, I'm going to be in Spanish, but sure.
so definitely free.
Yeah, I'll be there. So I did get to miss class a lot, which is sick. Yeah. But, like, that was, like, a full-time job for me that, like, I didn't get paid for, didn't ask for, and didn't even want.
Right.
Did teach me a lot that I, still use in photography about, like, management and like,
time management,
taking care
personal,
of things. Yeah, but anyway, so with all of that, I, like, felt so stuck because it wasn't a choice that I made to be there. Everybody was calling on me to do these things that it was like, how are these things my responsibility?
Right.
As well as being a growing kid trying to have a social life, trying to figure out who I want to be and what my future's going to look like in the next year. Like, all of that pressure, just, like, I hated everything.
Yeah.
So if I could tell myself something at that time, be that, everything didn't turn out to be, like, peaches and cream with graduation. Like, that wasn't the thing, like, I thought it would be. That was, like, this will set me free.
Yeah.
It wasn't that. I learned that, like, you have to make things happen rather than things happen to you. Like, through all of that time when I was stuck, like, I could have just quit.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Yeah. Because I felt like I wasn't allowed to. It's like, you're allowed to do whatever you want, like, regardless of what people are saying. You want,
literally, like.
Yeah. So, like, being stuck in that and, like, going after theater too, even though I didn't even really, like, want to, it just, like, felt like the next thing to do. And then becoming a CNA, even though I never even did that, but, like, I did the whole class. And whatever, it just seemed like the next thing to do. Like, I didn't know if I even wanted it.
Yeah.
But then photography, I was like, I want that, and I'm gonna make that happen. And
I love that.
Now I'm doing
do what you want to do.
What I want to be doing. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. Because I feel like we're so accustomed to this life of, like, all mutually hating our day jobs and all mutually talking shit about it after, and then all mutually having to wake up tomorrow, don't we all? And it's just like, no, that can be our reality. Does it need to be? No, I don't think so.
There's so many things you can do, especially now with our phones and the internet, and, like, everybody's so connected. Like, there's so many jobs that you can make for yourself that didn't exist, like, 20 years ago.
No,
like,
I mean, even 10 years ago, what was a social media manager? Like, crazy. So, I love that a lot. And I also think, too, like, going back to, like, do what you want to do, but you have to make it happen. Like, I have a lot of religious family and friends even, and I've had religious partners in the past too, and I always say, like, whatever gets you through the day, like, doesn't matter to me, doesn't hurt me or my feelings. But something that I could never subscribe to was the idea that, like, God always has a plan, because it's hard for me to grasp the fact that even if I do something so fucked up, God will still have a plan. Or if I do something so great, God will still have a plan. Like, it's almost like, so what is the point of making decisions every day or doing things every day if, like, the plan is already set in stone and in place? For us, I think every decision, every act, like, kind of shifts us, like a teeny bit, Like, I don't think it's so drastic. I don't think this one decision is gonna off-rail you, but I don't think, like, we are just moseying down this path and this path of divinity, and that God's got us no matter what. He's got the wheel. No. I mean, not no, like, the Bible, the Testament, whatever. And not whatever. Much respect to the Most High, but it's just, like, it doesn't make sense personally for me that, like, all of our everyday decisions and actions don't create one thing at the end. I truly believe it does.
I think about that all the time. Like, I'm really happy that you have the same idea and, like, you brought it up, because, I mean, we talk about the pandemic a lot, but, like, I think there are things that happen in your life that bring you to where you're supposed to be, in a way. I don't know if it's like God. I'm not a religious person.
Yeah.
I don't believe that. But every decision you make does steer you in a certain direction. And it's like, if the pandemic hadn't happened, where would I be? If I wasn't with my boyfriend, where would I be? If, I hadn't done photography, where would I be?
Right.
Like, there's so many little things, and I'm
like forks in the road.
There's so many forks in the road that I took to be here today, right now, like, sitting down with you.
Yeah.
It's like, but how?
But like, how? Like, if you didn't go to that event with the vintage horrors and whatnot, like, we would definitely not be here today. Or, not definitely, might not be here today at this time. We might be here maybe in, like, 2 years. Maybe it would have taken us a little bit longer to connect because we do run in similar circles. But, like, it was really that event, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I wasn't even at that event. So it's like crazy.
Yeah, but if I hadn't been at an event last year, I wouldn't have met the vintage horse who brought me to that event that we're talking about. And if I had waited a little bit longer to get into photography, like, I wouldn't have been at that event.
Yeah.
If I hadn't saw a post on Instagram for a content day where I met her, we wouldn't be here either. And it's like all of those little things. If I hadn't gone to that summer camp,
I
wouldn't be here at all.
Yeah.
But
if your parents didn't meet, no.
But
it's so true.
So true. I don't believe in, like, God has a plan and, like, we're on this road and whatever. I do believe in, like, you make your own decisions and whatever, but I do think that, like, some things are meant to be, kind of, but you don't always get them. Like, God could have a plan for you, but whether or not you actually end up at that spot, that's up to you. That's up to you.
I like that take too. Because, I mean, like, playing devil's advocate and believing in God. People are probably like, hell, you're going to hell, miss.
We're preaching bad things here.
But to look at it from, a different perspective, from that God believing place, that makes sense to me too. Like, if, let's say there is a certain sort of destiny for you, how long it takes for you to get there, who you will meet along the way, how hard it may feel, the journey to get there, all those things, I believe it's inside you, and you kind of steer that boat. I feel like for me, when I think of it, I really heavily believe in just, like, energy. I think we are a big ball of energy and matter. So when I think of it, I just think of, like, I think there are, just like I think there are a handful of, like, soulmates, I think there's, like, a handful of destinies, and like, wherever you are geographically and in that specific time, and it'll all, like, you'll cross paths with what is, meant for you through what you chose. And it's like, I think there's many possibilities for, like, great things for people at the end of the road. I think it's just a matter of, like, what you choose during that time that will kind of
free will
shift.
The decisions these decisions that we make are everything. Like, I applied to colleges, I got into a couple, got denied from quite a few as well. But if I had gone, like, I would still be there now. And all of these experiences that I've had in the past 4-8 years, like, I feel like I've grown up, like, really quickly in comparison. And when I'm, like, shooting with people or, like, on a consult call with clients, and they're like, oh, so how old are you? Because, like, I don't know if I have a baby face or what, but I'm like, oh, well, I'm 20, but, like, I will be 21 by your wedding. So if that's the problem, because one of them is in a brewery that I'm going to do it in the fall. I was like, if that's why you're asking, like, it will be legal. Like, it's fine.
Yeah. No, I think you can be in the establishment. There's probably babies in breweries, I'm sure.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not 21.
Oh my god.
But
I am, like, quite literally
I don't know. Everybody that I meet where, like, it comes up,
of,
like, my age just kind of, like, pops out there somehow. Everybody seems, like, really surprised when I say like, I'm only 20. Or, like, last year I was like, oh, I'm only 19 though. Everybody was like, so shocked when I told them that. But it's, like, I've had to grow a lot.
I don't think age and maturity, I think they're, like, parallel. But I don't think one determines the other. I think maturity comes from experience. Your experience with life, your experience with, real life, the real world, the job world, and just your experience with humans. And I think the more experience you have, more people you talk to. But even, like, your case, you were extremely, like, sheltered in your adolescence, but you managed very well with the way you speak to people, and your clients being shocked that you're what age you are, like, is a testament to that. So I think I always say that, like, it has to do with experience. Experience of any kind can make you one way or the other. But yeah.
I agree with that. Totally.
Alright, I have the last one. This is the banger.
Okay.
This is if you want to get deep, now is time to get deep.
We've already kind of talked about the multiverse a little bit.
I know.
So.
Exactly. This is a new edition. So we've gone through all the questions that I've asked everyone else. You are technically episode number 5 of official podcasting, episode number 3. But, so you're the first person who's getting this question. I have to give props to Instagram because I got this through Instagram. It was a little tweet snippet, was going a little viral, it was spreading around, and it was, would you still take photos if no one got to see your photos?
That's a really good one. I think I saw that on TikTok, actually. I think I've seen photographers making reels about that, or TikToks about that. Yes, definitely. Just because photography started for me as something that was meant for me. Like, I would never took photos starting out, like, in high school back when I discovered my love for photography. It wasn't taking photos of other people, it was taking photos of nature and the things around me. I really like to be outside, and that was, like, a way for me to get outside and, like, do something, but also, like, feel like I'm creating something valuable and that I appreciate. So I would, if nobody saw my photos, I would still be doing that. I don't know if I would be in weddings, though. Because that's not, I mean, I love that also, but, like, that's not something that's meant for me. That's meant for my clients. So I don't know if I would have, if nobody could see my photos, I don't think I would be doing portraits at all. What if it was, like, now I'm going to add another layer. So what if it was, like, you still get paid, your client still gets the photos, you just don't get to share them anywhere? Like social media doesn't exist. I'd still do it. Yeah. Because I'm a people pleaser. I like doing things for other people. Yeah. So I would definitely still do it. Social media, for me, isn't a career. It's just, like, a tool for my photography career. So I know a lot of people do shoots or, like, take on certain clients because of their appearance or because it's in a certain location that will look great in their feed or they think that they're going to go viral with this idea. And, like, yeah, that's awesome. And like most of my clients come from Instagram, and I love that because it is a personal way for me to connect with people, but it's not like I don't want to go I don't want to go like pop off. Like I don't need 60,000 followers to feel like I'm successful.
Right.
Like I just need people to somehow find my portfolio to reach out. And like that's Instagram for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was funny. I had someone the other day. Well, not the other day because now I feel like I have more followers now. It was a couple months back. I was at a networking event, and whenever I'm at networking events and people ask to follow me, I always just give them my portfolio page. Cause I mean, like my personal Instagram is very business oriented, but it's still definitely personal. So I just like give them the portfolio page. And at the time, I had like under 300 followers, and the woman I had given it to was like, "Oh, I'll help you get those numbers up," and I was like, "I quite honestly cannot take on any more clients right now, but thank you for your concern." It was like, I'm under 300 and doing fine, sweetie, but like
numbers don't mean anything. I think the only numbers in your Instagram, I know like zip about Facebook. I like have a Facebook, but I just do like the post on Instagram, also post on Facebook thing. Like I don't actually touch it at all. But I think the only numbers that actually matter with Instagram is if your like count reflects your follower count. I think that's pretty much it. Because if you have 30,000 followers or whatever, you have like a big following, and somebody's like, "Oh, I'll give you exposure. Look at how many followers I have."
Right.
I'm like, okay, but you only get 10 likes on all your photos.
Yeah, babe. Like
that exposure is not going to reach anybody.
Yeah.
All of those followers, are they real?
Exactly.
Like, yes, you have a lot of followers, but what is that exposure?
Yes.
That's the only number that I think matters, is if people are saying that and are like, "Oh, I have great exposure," and then they don't. But it doesn't mean that you're not successful if you have 300 followers. Like you're saying, like I have a friend who I do weddings with, and she's amazing, and her work is great, and she has a great attitude, and she has so much work. Like she's so busy all the time. She has a lot of clients, but she's just not super active on her social media. But like, she's still getting clients. Like she's getting most of her clients from word of mouth. And some people have that. Some people have Facebook or Instagram. And starting out in my business in this first year, I'm starting to get some word of mouth, but from the start, like nobody knew I was doing photography. None of my friends are at the age to get married. So nobody was like, "Oh, I need a photographer, let me reach out to Meghan." Like I had none of that. So Instagram was...
It was putting yourself out. It was a vehicle. It was a vehicle.
Yeah.
And now it's a tool.
Right.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. I forgot the question.
The banger.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah.
So you would. So when you were just taking photos for yourself, would you put them in a scrapbook? Would you put them on a laptop? What were you doing to like hold on to your photos if you were holding on to them?
I don't think I held on to a ton of them. I had a photography page on Instagram that I would post them on, but it was not like I was trying to make a business out of it at all. It was just like, I feel like Instagram was different at that time when I was like 12 too. Like 10 years ago, basically. It was way different, and I just followed a bunch of other photography pages just to appreciate the landscapes and nature photos that they were taking. Like I was following a lot of pages that were just like birds, or like a lot of pictures of flowers.
Yeah,
and it was like
a macro lens, just killing it.
Yeah, with no caption.
No caption.
That's what all of my posts were like. Just a place for me to see my photos and dump them somewhere.
To quite literally dump, which is what the cool kids are saying now.
Yeah. But also, I didn't tell anybody that I was like really into it until I took that camp. Like I was embarrassed about it. Like I would take the camera, my mom's camera, like from the closet, and like go take photos in the yard, like when she was busy, and like when my sister was like out. Like I didn't want anybody to know. I don't know why it was such a secret.
So funny.
But like that was a place for me to put them somewhere where nobody else could see them but me, and I could see other people's work. And then also kind of funny, when I started taking this on, last summer and spring when I started to take more photos. I did some self-portraits and started to go out and do walks and things again. But also then didn't tell anybody about it. Like, it was like a secret. I don't know why I was so hush about it, but like, I would be like, bye, I'm going out. And they're like, oh, where are you going? I'm like, oh, nowhere, you know, just like Target run. And I would like go to the park. Like, I don't know why it was such a secret.
Oh my god,
but
I love that.
yeah, until I wanted to buy a new camera, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna buy this new camera, and like started talking to my mom about it, and be like, I think I want to get into photography again, but like, I don't want to take pictures of people. How do I get into like making money off prints or something?
Yeah.
And then somehow I ended up taking photos of people, and I really love it. And I don't know, like not that into landscape anymore now that I've tried this, but.
Yeah.
I don't know why it was such a secret.
I don't know. It was a secret for me too when I started out. I had like one friend, Jay, who was, I felt like the only person at the time like taking photos, but we definitely got like made fun of.
Really?
Once I started my YouTube channel, like I got made fun of all the time. I had like my guy friends, like, which I think is so hilarious now, but they like made a full like a full 10-minute video like as a parody of my channel.
What?
Like talking about the same, like I was so outlandish. I would like talk about people in my school on my YouTube, like just okay, it was like 2010, mind you, like, so yeah, so it was a funny time, but yeah, it wasn't cool. It wasn't cool for a long time. Even like the social media thing wasn't cool for a while. Like caring about your social media, like using it as a business, not just posting cute photos with like emojis as captions. Like I would be like, you know, new vlog, link in my bio for years, like things of that nature. Like people would make fun of me for a while, and now I'm like, I mean, even like my grandparents would be like, my grandfather was like, I don't want Lola in any of your videos, this and that. And I'm like, no, it's going to make me, like, money one day, Papa. Like, it's going to make me money one day. And he was just, like, not about it. Like, you know, there's weird people on the internet. And now, like, he's so proud of my business. Like, and no, that's not directly from YouTube, but, like, those are one of the skills that led me here and able to create my business. So
that's a funny take. Like, oh, there's scary people on the internet. You don't know. My mom said that to me once about like Animal Crossing.
Thought we were gonna chat with you.
Yeah, she thought like all those animals like walking around were like other people on the internet.
Yeah.
And I was like, no.
Trying to get at your little Animal Crossing.
Yeah, it was like I'm like sitting in the corner like with my DS, just like playing the computers. But no, like. Older people definitely have that opinion of you're just gonna meet strange people on the internet, like it's like a scary place.
The unknown is often scary.
Yeah.
So I understand it. I get it. I definitely do. I saw this quote that said, "Crazy is usually being right before something along the lines of like." Being right before everyone thinks it's right. Like, you know, like, it's so crazy until, it happens. Like,
and that was YouTube back then when you were doing that. Now everybody wants to be a TikTok influencer.
Yeah.
And, like, have just their job be social media.
Yeah.
Like, that's what all the kids, I mean, I don't know, but that's what all the kids, it seems like, want to do now.
I was in Barnes & Nobles the other day, and there was how to become a YouTuber in the children's section. It was like a book.
In the children's section?
Yeah, it was a book.
Wow.
It was so insane.
Wow. But what's crazy about that, though, is, like, that's what everybody wants to be when they grow up.
Yeah.
Not thinking, I mean, I don't know any like, people younger than me, but I'm assuming that's, like, a big wave now. But what are we going to do when nobody is staffing trades or food service? Like, everybody's going to want to be their own boss. And, like, that's amazing. Go you. Entrepreneurship is amazing. Like, the best thing that's ever happened to me. Like, don't get me wrong. But if everybody's pursuing that and pursuing their own business, we're going to have nobody to staff businesses that already exist.
I'd like to argue that. I think I see where you're coming from totally and completely, but I feel like it's survival of the fittest. I feel like everybody might like that idea to begin with, but I don't think everyone is meant for it, and I think people will find that out. sooner rather than later. I don't think there's the possibility to have more than, I mean, there's not a possibility to have more than one Charli D'Amelio. Like, even Addison Rae doesn't feel as much love as Charli D'Amelio. So I don't think there's infinite opportunities to be at that level, or even to be, you know, the smaller folk that, you know, are in the house of the hype or whatnot. So I definitely think it's like survival of the fittest. And two, like, for example, my little brothers, I think, for the most part, they're more like sports driven. I think they might want to do something in that field. I know my little god brothers want to be in music and art. So I don't actually know any kids, but it does feel like that, right? Like, it definitely feels that way. But I actually don't personally know any kids who want to do that. My oldest youngest brother, he actually got into photography, and I was able to buy him his first camera, which is insane because I wouldn't be able to afford that without photography, which is amazing. And he told me about, like, the first time he picked up a camera was my camera. He was 10 years old, and he remembers it like yesterday. So
wow.
I will say that although, like, you might feel like the little sister that was always, like, following in the footsteps, like, it's very endearing, at least, like, to me, like, that he even remembers that so vividly, and like, it's making an impact on his life that much right now as he's, like, you know, 15, going to turn 16 next year. So I definitely think, like, once you hit a certain age, it's like, it's actually really special when when they continue following in the footsteps.
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
That's so
Did I just say he's 15?
Yeah.
The motherfucker's about to be 18. I'm sorry. Like, I just have too many siblings. But, Zane, I love you. You got a mustache. You're not 15. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But yeah, tell the people where they can find Meghan.
Hey, boys. My Instagram is, like, my number one thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm not on Instagram, like, all the time, but...
Mm-hmm. Oh my god, I almost forgot there was a living being over there.
She's quiet. She's quiet. Yeah, but definitely my Instagram is the best way to find me and, like, get in touch with me. And my business name is just my full name, Meghan Ann. I mean, Ann's my middle name, but Meghan Ann Imagery. And Imagery because I'd love to do video in the future too, and I feel like that fits with just both things, everything, rather than like photography or
photos.
So
definitely, for sure. Okay, so I'll link everything. But thank you so much for being on my channel and my podcast. Oh, another thing that I've been forgetting to say, and this is the first time I'm saying it, leave a review of sorts. Give me the 5 stars. Type a little thing, a little typey. I know it's a lot, and people feel like nothing is everything these days. Like, I'm not asking you for a limb or a kidney, so relax. Leave a rating, a review, only dazzling, good, and amazing things. If you have any constructive criticism, I love it and appreciate it. Text it to me. I will take it for next time. And, again, love it, appreciate it, but keep it in my text messages.
Hush, hush.
Hush, hush. We don't need to see that on the reviews. Just review it, all right? Review it with fond words. All right, that is all for us today. And I'll have everything, all things Moog, in the description.